Good afternoon everyone, Brandon from Starpoint Australis here with your Tuesday update, the week that was yet again. Man, these weeks are flying past still and I don't think that they will slow down. Well, update for this week, where I've been doing a lot of development of products, obviously over the last little while. You've seen a few of them and I've been talking about them, but I think we'll start with some of the tests, some of the story and themes that we've been working on. So obviously the F4, we were able to get that out under the stars this week, which has been fantastic. We only had to change one minor thing, and I should have twigged. So when I did the test fitment with the Teleview paracore, I saw it and it was the end of the paracore was right on the edge of the optical tube, and I know that I didn't design it like that. So I should have twigged right then that the extension tube wasn't quite correct. Anyhow, I got out there and I'm sitting, because it's not in focus at this stage and it was just on dusk. So I was waiting for the stars to start coming out. Anyhow, I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh, there's some stars out. I checked it through and I could see the stars starting to come into focus. I'm like, woohoo, we're on here. But I was looking also at the distance that the focuser had to go, and I'm sitting there going, oh, this is going to be close. And I could see the stars coming down, and they were still quite large at that stage, but it bottomed out on the out focus. So that's where it should have twigged, because I needed more out focus, which drags the whole imaging train back out of the tube, which protects it a little bit from light and whatnot. So a quick little rummage around in my goodies and extensions and other pieces that I've made, and I was able to cobble together a set of extensions that actually landed me perfectly where I needed to be. So that was good. So that was the first night run. We had some clouds come in, so I couldn't really do too much more. And then again last night, I was able to get out, Sunday night I was able to get out under the stars again and do the filter offsets, tune the SP3, so all of the settings for this telescope and that combination of image train, and away it went. It was bang on mark, and the whole night long it just stayed stable. So it was a little bit of a average seeing night, but we were sitting at 2.4 to 2.6 HFR, which I actually think is pretty damn good for the little beastie on its first run. Now I will say, keeping in mind that 2.3, 2.6 HFR, I literally have just eyeballed the secondary mirror where it's facing, so making sure that it's level with the image set. I haven't even put the auto collimator hotspot on there, so it was only just a quick eyeball with the laser. So everything as quick and dirty as possible just to see where we are, and it has really performed. Tells me that I'm on a really stable base for this little piece of kit. Now, it's not something that Starpoint's going to be developing, but we do make telescopes from time to time for various things and various people as we go. But however, we do play around with the image train set. So you will have heard me talk about the SP3. Well, we've been working on that. Well, I've been working on the Starpoint controller and the focuser, I reckon, for about 3.5, nearly 4 years now. And like all of our developments, we're very slow to bring them out into the market. We want to make sure that they work before they go out. So we're pretty much now at a stage, Dan and I have gotten, there's really nothing that we can find wrong with the SP3 anymore. You know, there'll be little bugs that pop up along the way, but other than that, it is just working. So if you're keen to adopt and support a small business like us that are dedicated astrophotographers, I'd love for you to reach out, because we've got, you can see them in the background here, we've got SP3s waiting to go. They're all prepped and ready, and it's just a discussion whether it's going on to a Newtonian, an RC. You've seen it on the RC now. or a refractor. So it's just an adapter that we change, and then it can work for anything. Reach out and talk to us, and we can see what we can do. So F4 pretty much finished. Finishing touches now. So we've got some baffles to put into it, some, we'll call it business as usual kind of things like covers and caps to go on there, some painting of some final pieces. So yeah, it's not much to go, and it'll be in use and operation pretty much. I'd say this new moon, it's all go. The other part, you see this bundle of joy. Oh, before I go on further, just so that you're aware, this was the imaging train. So this is a very standard imaging train for most people, like a 268 or like a ZW 2600, 7-position filter wheel, off-axis guider. In here is an adapter that holds the SP3, the paracore 3-inch. So that's a paracore 3-inch corrector, and then the extensions. So that there, in Australian terms, is 3.3 kilos. It's pretty hefty. In American terms, you're talking 2.2 pound to the kilo. So you're talking 3, 6, 7, 7.5, almost 8 pound. So 8 pound, and it's micron level accuracy. On the F4, we're using steps of probably 80 or 90 to make sure that that comes through. You can go further with it, but we don't see any need to do so. So it can hold a decent weight. So that's that one there. Now you'll see this big bundle of joy right beside me here. Now you'll see Jess has been telling a story about the RC, and you've heard me talk about the development of the firmware. But I just thought, it was one of these moments where I sat down and just thought about all the little components that go into a system or an assembly. And for most people, they see a focuser. And I think I stood there for a little bit over the last week and just marveled at where I have come and from what I've come from. So my background isn't mechanical engineering, it isn't machinists. I come from a blue collar, white collar job. So I used to do engineering, of course, but it was really a moment to step back and have a look at what I've achieved. The SP3 in particular, you've got electrical design, so PCBs, so we all make that in-house. You've got the design of the firmware, and that firmware's got to interact obviously with the physical layer and also with the software layer, so that interfacing between two. You've got the fact, these are more manufactured, they look so crystal clean compared to what they used to, but I've made each and every one of these, and I'll grab one of the original ones. One moment, please. And if he's watching this, the Ogway special, Master Ogway on here. But this is handmade. So this is not a focuser that I have gotten manufactured by elsewhere. This is handmade by myself in the workshop. This has gone on, this little focuser has been a part of probably 5 or 6 awards of images from Carlos Taylor, one of our avid supporters, and to come from this to a polished product, it just really took my mind away. And then I think what really nailed it down was, like I was saying, this big bundle of love here. Each one of these parts has been 3D designed. It then gets taken away and 3D printed. These are 3D prints at this stage. They may go to metal, not sure, but it's all about weight. And this is the, what will I say, the automation side of going into the RC. So these are all the components, and it's not everything just yet, right? Because there's no wires connecting all of this right here, or not too many wires connecting it. But you've got the air filter that sits on the back. You've got the little fan mount that sits under there. So the shroud sits on the underside, this sits on the top side. The fan sits inside the little unit. This fan then connects up to, as Carlos once told me, the bat goggles. So this sits inside, and I mean we'll go into much more detail with this soon. You'll see it in the stories, but the fans all connect into here. You can see the little PCB up inside, and this is designed by myself. This is not just an off-the-shelf piece. You've got the glass sensor that goes in there, and I've spoken about those. So this is operational at the moment. So it's just here. And then that piece there connects to the focuser. Now, there's a whole heap of bits and pieces, but the focuser sits here. You can see it's got the electrical motor sitting in there, the little stepper motor. This is the main control board. And this little bad boy at the back here is the dew heater pad. So all integrated, all automated. The focuser talks to the weather or environment board, and then gets all the dew heating and so on and so forth. Once again, little glass probe temperature, so that'll sit on the secondary mirror so we know when we're getting close to the dew point for that mirror. So that's that side. And then, you know, we've got to connect to these things, right? So I've got the power, a little LED light, which will then connect back to the environmental board so you can see the status of things. And then you've got the the focuser and the weather USB connections is USB-C out the back. So they are all, I should say, wireless, so Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. But sometimes in certain situations, specifically an RC, and an RC like the Arcos that we've been rebuilding, that is an observatory grade system. So sometimes you don't want to have wireless, because although wireless is very stable, is it as stable as a wired connection? Normally not. So we can also go direct USB connection to our imaging PC. So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to take a moment and, you know, impart what I find one of the most joyful things, to help other people answer questions and come up with solutions and solve the problems so that we can all benefit. So focuses, automated, weather, it's all to do with what we're up to here at Starpoint. You know, you've got the Octans Observatory, you know, Phoenix Observatories. There's more in the pipeline to answer those questions too. But I think for this update, I'll leave it at that. And hopefully wherever you are, you're able to go and do some astronomy, whatever flavor that might look like, visual, whether it's grabbing a DSLR and just getting out under the night sky. But yeah, I encourage you to go out there and chase those photons around. But until next time, I'll talk to you soon.